Nights by Elizabeth Lodor Merchant. The Vision of Sir Bors. And so came a white dove, and she bore a little censer in her mouth, and a maiden bore the Sangreal, and she said openly, Wit ye well, Sir Bors, that the child is Galahad, that shall sit in the siege perilous, and achieve the Sangreal. Sir Bors was a very large knight, tall and strong, as you might have guessed from the sound of his name. One day he was riding along a grassy road where he saw a building with high grey walls and towers like a castle, half hidden among the grey clumps of fine trees. A river ran around it, and across the bridge was arched a stone bridge. Across the river was arched a stone bridge. Well, there are bridges built on bridges too, but immediately Sir Bors felt a great desire to enter the castle. He turned his horse's head that way, and trotting over the bridge, drew near to the beautiful building. A knight rode out through the gates and tried to stop his way, but Sir Bors fought him and conquered him. Then, sparing the other's life, he rode proudly into the courtyard of the castle, and was met by the king who owned it. The king's name was Pelesse, and he was always ready to welcome a brave and merciful knight. He greeted Sir Bors courteously and led him into the great hall, and no sooner was Sir Bors inside than he felt a strange awe and wonder creeping over him. It seemed to him that this castle was not like any other castle in the world. It was full of strange lights and shadows, whisperings and rustlings, coolness and perfume. Little birds, sparkling like jewels, flew about the gold and purple glass of the windows. Their wings were almost transparent. Their heads bore tiny crowns, and, most beautiful of all among them, was a white one, like a tiny dove, that flitted again and again through the shadowy hall, carrying in her bill a little golden goblet hung on 3 chains. Truly, thought Sir Bors to himself, I am in the very heart of fairyland. And, indeed, with so much unusual and mystical beauty about him, it was not strange that he believed himself to be in the land of the fairies. Then, while the dove still flitted about the hall, a table mysteriously appeared, covered with honeyed cakes and ripe fruits, and crystal goblets filled with crimson wine. The knight and the king sat down to eat and drink. When they had finished, Sir Bors felt so light in body, so refreshed, so calm and rested, that he wondered what sort of fairy food he had been eating. As he wondered, he looked up and saw King Pelesse watching him. Sir Bors, said the king gently and gravely, you have always been a good and pure knight. I hope so, answered Sir Bors. I have wished to be and striven to be all my life. You must have been, replied the king, or you would have never seen the little white dove, nor have eaten mysterious food on the mysterious table. And now something still more wonderful is going to be shown to you. As the king finished speaking, the hall grew darker, and at the far end a golden light appeared. Then, in the heart of the golden light, which floated all around her like a sunset cloud, appeared a slim and beautiful lady, who, Sir Bors thought, looked like a fair princess. But when he looked again, he saw she was not an ordinary human being. She seemed a sort of delicate spirit, and she moved like a spirit through the dim shadows of the hall, her feet barely touching the floor, her hair shining like sunlight, pale wings folded upon her shoulders, and pale hands clasped around what looked like a wondrously beautiful silver cup. From the mouth of the cup rose a still flame, like the flame of a candle, and it was as if this flame shed all the brightness which surrounded the maiden's form. She passed slowly by, and Sir Bors watched breathlessly. Then he turned wondering to King Pelesse. Who is she? He asked under his breath. What is the cup that she carries? The king answered in a voice that seemed to come from very far away. She is who she is, and of the cup you have often heard. It is, whispered Sir Boris. Can it be the cup of the spirit world, the silver chalice that we knights call the Holy Grail? And remember, it was originally earlier versions of the of the Arthur. It was a stone, but there was no Camelot then, and some other things. Yes, replied King Pelesse, it is the Holy Grail. Here in this castle it has been hidden for years. But look again. Then Sir Boris looked again, and down the hall, in the very track of the Golden Maiden, stepping through the lingering, fading radiance she had shed, came a princess with a tiny, sleeping babe in her arms. She stepped softly towards Sir Boris and held the babe towards him for him to look at. He thought that he had never seen a lady so lovely, nor a child so like a flower. This is my daughter, the Princess Elaine, said the king, speaking more softly than ever, and the little child is her son, Galahad. He was born in the castle of the Hidden Grail. It is he who will sit in the seat perilous one day, on the right hand of King Arthur, the seat that has been empty so long. But when Galahad takes his seat there... What? Asked Sir Bors, touching the child very gently with his big forefinger. What? But King Pelesse did not answer. He shook his head and fell silent again. The Princess Elaine smiled at her little baby, and then at Sir Bors. It will be a wonderful day, she said, under her breath, the most wonderful day that the knights of the Round Table have ever seen. And evil is not conquered once and for all as long as humans have choices.